Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular meeting of your Alamosa City Council. Would you please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up is roll call. Would you start voting, please?
Mayor, Mr. Vigil said he'd be here a little bit late, so I don't know how do you handle that? He called it. He'd be here about maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. You can just reflect it. He'll be a little bit late. You've certainly got a quorum. You can hold a meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Grego. We'll move ahead with the roll. There's a matter of fact, there he is. Why don't we start voting, please? Mr. Vigil, we're taking roll call. Did you sign in? Yes, sir. Thank you. Christy?
We have a quorum with 6 councilors present. Councilor Stefano previously requested to be excused.
Thank you very much, Christy. Next up, council, is our agenda approval. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none.
If not, Mayor, I'll make the motion. We approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
With one amendment, excuse Mr. Stefano.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, start voting, please. Christy?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up is citizen comment. Alamosa City Council welcomes your comments. Citizens wishing to speak up to 3 minutes may obtain and complete a speaker card through the city clerk at the start of the meeting, and our 3-minute rule is enforced. I believe the first card I have, and the only card I have, is for Mariana King, I believe. Is that, yes? Would you please come to the podium? Give us your name and your address, please, Mariana.
My name's Mariana King. I live at 219 Dunham Street in Monte Vista. I'm making this presentation because the stated mission of the city of Alamosa is to enhance the quality of life of residents, visitors, and businesses. I have a letter which I'll present to the City Council. I'm here to express concerns about telecommunication towers in Alamosa. These are concerns about health and infertility due to radiation, danger to wildlife, wildfire hazards, and loss of local income. Conclusive studies about the negative health and environmental effects of industrially produced radiation have been conducted for over 50 years. Unlike the laws of European countries, many towers here are being built close to businesses and homes, and this poses health hazards for human life. Cell towers jeopardize the 2 major sources of income for the San Luis Valley, farming and tourism. Cell towers radiate the adjacent land and living things, and so are a detriment to farming. And because they're ugly and visually intrusive, they will detract from the tourism industry. In addition, towers pose a danger to wildlife and to human life. The U.S. Department of the Interior warns that these towers threaten wildlife, especially birds, because of collisions and radiation. These towers also increase the danger of fire. 1 cell tower collapses every month. This is especially of concern to the San Luis Valley because of the extremely high winds here and the threat of wildfire. Although radiation health and fertility problems are well researched and documented, the Telecommunications Act does not allow radiation to be used as a reason for denying a permit. However, as this book points out, and I'll loan it to the council, the fact that the tower would be unsightly and that it would reduce property values due to fear of radiation are valid reasons to deny a permit. And of course, another valid reason for denying the permit is the very real threat of towers causing fires. In 2012, Congress passed the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act. Section 6409 of the Act stipulates that once a tower is erected, the Telecommunications Corporation can extend it by 20 feet vertically and horizontally without a permit at any time, at least twice. The more extensions a tower would have, the more danger of equipment falling off and creating a forest fire. Also, the more extensions that the tower has, the more radiation it emits. The law stipulates that the cell tower owner would not be required to ask permission from the city of Alamosa to extend the tower. Once the tower is erected, the city loses all their authority over the tower. Another issue is in the event of another disaster, such as fire, and in the event of loss of tourism and loss of property values, the question is, who would be liable, the city of Alamosa or the cell tower owner? Another consideration is a current and unprecedented federal lawsuit. The U.S. Department of the Interior is suing the Federal Communications Commission for allowing tower emissions to exceed EPA mandated levels. If the city of Alamosa were to consider approving a permit, it would be a good idea to postpone making a decision until this lawsuit determines legal limits on radiation emissions.
Thank you, Mariana. Your 3 minutes have expired.
Thank you.
We have a section on our agenda called follow-up. We will ask staff if they have any recommendations or anything to say on this, because I believe we are going to have a public works business brought forward, which is permitted use by special review for this tower. So staff, do we have any comments on Mrs. King's observations about cell towers?
I think we appreciate Ms. King's comments and can take some of the comments into consideration. And as she pointed out, there's some comments that the federal laws prevent us from taking into consideration. So as always, with any public comment, we appreciate the input.
Thank you, Heather. And thank you, Mrs. King, for being here. We certainly appreciate that.
Based on this research, I'd like to point out that I think it would be responsible of the council not to really consider the validity of this research.
Thank you very much. Next up is a ceremonial item, a proclamation dealing with complex regional pain syndrome awareness, presented to Tamara Brown. Mrs. Brown, would you tell us a little bit about it? And then we will read the proclamation. Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name's Tamara Brown. I live at 6020 North Road, 111 in Mosca. Complex regional pain syndrome has been around for over 140 years, and it's still considered a very rare disease. I live in extreme, excruciating pain every day of my life. Putting on clothes is a new adventure in pain. Hugging my grandchildren is painful. It's, I don't know how to explain it. Have you ever been in a windstorm where the sand is hitting you? Okay, multiply that by 1,000,000, and that might get you to where I am every day. This is actually a good day because I only have to use my cane. Bad days consist of having to have my helpers actually help me out of bed and transfer me into my wheelchair. I am no longer able to dress myself. I can't cook for myself. I can't clean for myself. I'm only 40 years old. This all happened because I sprained my ankle. Yeah, it doesn't take much. You can literally sprain an ankle, and this can happen to anybody. It happens 2 times more to women than it does to men, but it does happen to men. It totally changes your life. Now, my disease won't kill you per se like a heart attack. People with my disease die because we kill ourselves. Because there's no way to get rid of the pain. I lived for 3 years in this valley with doctors telling me I was crazy. I literally had to go to Texas to be told by a doctor what was wrong with me. And then when I came here, I told the doctors what was wrong with me, and then I had to do my own research and bring it to them. It's kind of emotional, I'm sorry. But that's why this is so important. That's why people need to know. Everybody knows about fibromyalgia and everything else. It's out there. There's help for it. I take morphine, fentanyl, Percocet, Demerol. It doesn't touch it. So, I mean, there's no help anywhere. There's no cure for it. It's every day I wake up, I'm thankful that I wake up. But there's some days I just, and it sounds horrible, and I'm sorry if anybody's family is disabled, but I swear, some days I wake up and I wish I was quadriplegic so I couldn't feel it anymore. Because I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it any better. But I can't give up. I have 3 grandchildren. And I think they're the only reason that I do want to wake up. And they're the reason that I'm here. And they're the reason I'm fighting so hard for people to know. Sorry. And thank you for putting your ribbons on.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. We appreciate your presence and the direction in which you're making the valley and our community aware of this this disease or this syndrome. And so with that, I will read this proclamation, and then I'm going to ask our city council to join you down there, and I'll present this to you. Okay? Proclamation. Complex Regional Pain Syndrome, Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy Awareness Day, November the 3rd, 2014. Whereas, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome, CRPS, also known as Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy, RSD, is a rare nerve disorder which causes the brain to send pain signals to the body, causing chronic pain, usually affecting one of the arms, hands, feet, or legs. And whereas symptoms of CRPS/RSD, including dramatic changes in the color and temperature of the skin over the affected limb or body part, accompanied by intense burning pain, skin sensation, swellings, and sensitivity. And whereas CRPS/RSE can occur after an injury or trauma to the affected area of the body, and whereas the cause of CRPS/RSE are uncertain and there is currently no cure, and whereas treatment can relieve painful symptoms, and whereas the National Institute of Neurological Disorder and Stroke, NINDS, is dedicated to research for the brain and central nervous system, have scientists that are studying new approaches to treat CRPS, RSE, and intervene more aggressively after a traumatic injury to lower the chances of developing this condition. And whereas this research is encouraging to everyone who hopes CRPS, RSD will one day be eliminated, and whereas on November the 3rd, 2014, members of the Complex Regional Pain Syndrome Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy community, we will be celebrating the first annual Color the World Orange Day to spread awareness of this poorly understood disorder. Now therefore I, Joseph Lucero, Mayor of the City of Alamosa, on behalf of the entire City Council and staff, do hereby proclaim November the 3rd, 2014 as Complex Regional Pain Syndrome Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy Day, given under my hand and the seal of the City of Alamosa this 5th day of November, 2014. And I will sign this, and we will be done.
Tamara, I want to just encourage you to keep fighting a strong fight, okay? And thank you for bringing this awareness to the entire community. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Council. That is one issue that I think many of us don't know much about, but we should probably learn a little bit more about it and see where we go from there. Next up, Council, is Consent Calendar A. The consent calendar allows multiple actions with one motion. Consent Calendar A contains routine items which have been recommended for action by staff or advisory boards. Council may remove a consent calendar item for special consideration. Tonight we have a Alamosa County request for fee relief, the AM West bid award for WWTP, the SCADA upgrades over at the plant. Approved minutes of the regular meeting, October 15, 2014, and appoint an advisory board member. Are there any comments on consent calendar A?
Mr. Mayor, if there's no questions or comments, I move we approve consent calendar A as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Start voting, Council. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up, we'll move on to regular business. We have presentations from outside agencies. First up is an update on the Alamosa Rodeo Roundup 2015 by Don Honeycutt. Thank you for being here, Don.
Thank you for having me. Do I need to give my address and everything? Dawn Honeycutt, 5543 Stanley Road, Alamosa. Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for being so supportive of our event. I feel really blessed to be in a community that supports even things like that. It's emotional for me. It's neat that you do that, those kind of things for people. I just wanted to come and give you an update on last year's rodeo, tell you a little bit about what's coming up for this next year's rodeo, and see if there's any questions, comments, concerns any of you might have. I put together a little packet which you can feel free to go through. I just wanted to hit, a couple things. All of our crowds are going up, which is very exciting. We're getting a lot of new people from out of town, out of the state. We have people coming on our website, our Facebook page that are planning their vacations, their reunions, all that kind of stuff around the Roundup now, which is pretty cool. The size of our rodeo is really impressive for the size of our town and the amount of added money that we add to the rodeo, which is how most cowboys decide where they're going to go and how they're going to spend their traveling money. We currently are what's considered a small rodeo based on our added money, but the number of contestants we're getting is more in the size of the medium-sized rodeo, so that's pretty cool. A lot of that is strategic based on the dates that we pick. We double up our dates with the rodeo in Santa Fe and with Raton so that we can create a little run for the cowboys so they come to our town, which is really neat. And they like coming here. Last year we had no more room at the fairgrounds for cowboys and their trailers because they came in early on Thursday. Even though they weren't up Thursday night, they came in early so that they could stay there, be there for the breakfast that we provide Friday morning. And they just like hanging out here, which is really, really neat. I'm excited that this year, I guess your conference is not going to be doubled up with the rodeo, so you will be here to see all of those trailers and pickups and cowboys everywhere, so that will be neat. Hopefully you'll get to make use of the tickets and come out. We did a couple new things last year, which we're going to continue to do. We had 50-plus National Guardsmen and their families that we treated to the rodeo on Friday night as a military appreciation. They were all local, some from the Valley and from Colorado. So that was really neat to be able to honor them and their families and treat them to the rodeo. We're going to continue to do that this year. Last year we also added cowboy poetry to the Ranch Rodeo event on Tuesday night, which we will be bringing back also. That was a crowd hit. Overall, I made a list of the results from the rodeo that you can look over. I don't know if, depending on how much of a rodeo fan you are, the numbers may or may not make a lot of sense to you. But overall, it's a great rodeo. We have good cowboys that come. They have good stock to get on, although I'm a little prejudiced, but they have good, scores, great times. In fact, two of the competitors, Tom Richards, who was in the team roping, and Christy Laughlin, who's the barrel racer, are both going to the NFR this year. So part of their success for the year was coming to Alamosa and the money that they won here. So that's neat that we can say we helped them get to the NFR. The Derby is continuing to be a huge hit. We have standing room only at the Derby, which is really exciting. And I don't know, at some point maybe we might want to get another set of bleachers or, just let them stand around. They seem to enjoy that. Doesn't seem to bother anybody, so that's going good. I included a couple graphs for you to look at, just kind of shows the increase in spectators for the different events, the rodeo. In 2010 is when we became a PRCA rodeo, so you can look at that. And then the Derby, is continuing to grow. It's pretty much at a sold-out standing capacity now, so I'm not sure that it could get any bigger. And then there's another graph there that just shows the combined events and a total of where we're going. And even with the economy the way it's been the last couple years, the trends seem to be holding strong, and the crowds are good. I think a lot of that is in conjunction with the advance tickets that we offer people. They're for sale, 2 weeks before the event, and the advance ticket prices for the Derby are $10 and for the rodeo are $8. So it's less to go to the rodeo than to the movies these days. I did include a schedule of events for 2015. You're welcome to look over that. Tuesday will be the Ranch Rodeo with the cowboy poetry included. Wednesday night will be the kickoff barbecue, mutton busting, and local barrel race. Thursday night is the high noon cattle drive and parade with the first night of the PRCA rodeo. Friday morning we have our rodeo slack, which is where we get all the contestants in that don't fit in the performance itself. That's when you'll see a lot of pickups and trailers parked at Chili's after the slack. They're all over there. 7:30 that night will be the second performance of the PRCA rodeo with the return of the National Guard Appreciation Night. And then we're going to have the rodeo block party. We're not doubled up with Rails and Ales, but we will be having a rodeo block party that weekend. And then Scott's going to have the Rails party. I'm not sure the title he's going to give that the weekend before us. Saturday night will be the Demolition Derby. And then Sunday, we'll have Cowboy Church in the morning. And then a new event, we're teaming up with the Train this year, kind of doing some cross-marketing. They're going to have a country concert up on the hill. And so we're going to get the Train involved and try to get people to stay even, maybe over Sunday night into the next week. So that will be part of the Mountain Rails Live series. And then, Lord willing, it's over a year away from now, the 5th annual Christmas Light Parade. So I think I've touched on most everything. I did give Mrs. Brooks a copy of the finances and the budget, and you're all welcome to look over that in more detail if you have any questions about where all that's going. We're basically breaking even, which is okay. We love doing it. It's a great event for us, a way to give back to the community and get to rodeo in our hometown. So we are good with that, and we definitely couldn't do it without your support and with the support of the tourism, so I appreciate that. Last year, I guess the next event we have coming up is this year's Christmas Light Parade, which will be December 19th at 6:30. It's a Friday night, so hopefully you guys will be around and it won't be cold. On years where it's not as cold, like last year, we packed it out. They said there was people 4 deep all the way along Main Street, so that was really neat to see. We had 25 floats last year, and we're hoping to have 30 this year. So it's growing and getting bigger, and just a really fun thing to do. So does anybody have any questions?
Don, certainly want to thank you for being here and bringing us this information. This is a family event, and I noticed that you have 3 guests in the audience that came in with you. Would you please introduce them to us, please?
I would love to. My husband, Jerry Honeycutt, our stock contractor, my younger son, Riley Honeycutt, and our oldest son, Dawson Honeycutt.
Welcome, gentlemen.
This is their first city council meeting, so they were very excited.
Thank you very much, Don. Council, do we have any, Councilor Grego?
Yeah, you said the 19th of December for that deal. It's on the 18th, right?
The 18th for 2015, the 19th for 2014.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah, so it'll be Friday night.
Yeah. I didn't have a question. I just had some comments. I wanted to thank you, Don, and the Honeycutt family that have kept rodeo alive in Alamosa, and for the efforts that you have to bring people into our community. You do a great job, and that was one thing that for years and years, if it wasn't for a group like yourselves and the other rodeo people, rodeo would have probably gone away, because you guys pretty much maintained years back, you used to maintain the facility out there and so forth, and now that the city finally recognizes it, and I know Heinz has put a lot of work out there and stuff, so
He has.
we really appreciate that and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate that.
Councilor Gregory. Councilor Johnson?
Well, Charlie just about said it all, Don. We appreciate everything you do for our town, not just the rodeo, but the parade of lights. What a terrific thing you guys are doing. I'm really excited that you're not conflicting with
Me
CML
too.
this year.
Me
And
too.
I get to see it and not hear about it, because I've heard such great things about it. The mutton busting thing, I've heard so many things about that. That was a great addition. The numbers are terrific. You had 49 people participate in that. That's just terrific. I do have one question,
Sure.
and probably for Jerry. How the heck did you guys let the Francis family beat you guys? And then
It was close.
and then you put it in writing, so you can't deny it down the road. I'm not sure. I just thought I had to make that comment. Anyway, appreciate everything
you.
you guys do. Thank you. Thank
It's
you,
our
guys.
pleasure.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Coleman?
Yes, I would like to just add my thanks as well, and it's obvious that you all are doing a super fantastic job of marketing this to the community, because it looks like you had the second largest crowd in the past 10 years in 2014. So I commend you for doing a
Thank
wonderful
you.
job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. Councilor Gillespie?
Yes, I think what Charlie didn't cover, Rusty did, and what he missed, Ty covered. So I'm just saying I'm excited to be there this next summer, and thank you for
Thank you.
not having a conflict. Thank you.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Thank you, Councilor Gillespie. And I too will reiterate what all these gentlemen have said. We miss it because of CML conference, but this year, I'm sure a lot of us will not miss it. We will be there watching. I think what really intrigues me is the high noon cattle drive. I know
Yes.
that we have pictures of our police chief doing that. So we look forward to that. And we appreciate everything you folks do. And those young whippersnappers out there, you guys need to be proud of this woman and that man over there, because they do a lot for our community. And don't forget, honor your father and mother, okay? Thank you,
Thank
Don.
you.
Thank you, Council. Next up is a presentation by Christy Culp for our DOLA update and overview of services. Thank you, Christy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Let us know
Good.
where your name, where you live now.
My name is Christy Culp. I live at 550 West 13th Street in Salida. Okay.
Thank you for being here, Christy.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. So I just wanted to take some time. I'm making the rounds through my region and making sure that all of my elected officials and their staff members remember DOLA and that we're here. I know most of you, I've met most of you, but for those of you who I may not have had the chance, Jen, I think you're the only one. My name's Christy Culp. I'm the regional manager with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. We're a state agency that provides financial and technical assistance to local governments across the state. There are about 4,000 local governments that we work with, including counties, municipalities, and Title 32 special districts. So we are very busy, and it's a very exciting job. I cover a 10-county region, the 4 counties in the Upper Arkansas and the 6 counties in the San Luis Valley. My office is here in Alamosa. So if you're ever over at the depot, check to see if my door is open. It usually isn't, but if you call ahead of time, I can see if I can meet you. A lot of people know DOLA for the Division of Local Government, which is the division that I work for. We work a lot of hands-on with the local governments, and we provide a lot of financial assistance. But we do have 4 divisions in the department, and I have directory of services. I had directory of services, but we're out of them and we're printing new ones. So I apologize for not having anything for you to refer to, but I just want to touch on them quickly. We have the Division of Housing. Ty is probably most familiar familiar with those. They work with communities across the state, bringing affordable housing into communities, working with developers as well as local governments. So you all have worked with the Division of Housing here in the San Luis Valley and in Alamosa on a number of projects. We have the Division of Property Taxation that works primarily with county assessors, making sure that property taxes are equitably administered across the state. We have the Board of Assessment Appeals, which is kind of the schizophrenic side of the property tax, because it's the one division where the public can come in and ask for their property tax to be re-evaluated. And then we have the Division of Local Government. As I said, I work for the Division of Local Government, and we provide a number of financial assistance programs to local governments. Just wanted to make sure that you remember those. The Energy and Mineral Impact Fund is probably our most famous and most widely used. We are happy to announce, hopefully you received the information, we are increasing the amount of money we have per cycle to $35 million. It's currently at 25, but we have been doing really well in the state level, bringing in tax dollars from the industry. So we can increase that to $35 million, which is great for our communities. We've had a lot of really, really good projects the last few years that we've been back, and so we're going to be able to get more money out to communities. The next grant application deadline is December 1st, and I've been working with Heather and Pat talking about the projects that the city has. So just as soon as you guys are ready to submit something, I'm happy to work with you and happy to bring money down into the community. Just a couple of programs that I wanted to make sure that you all knew about in case you were interested in it. We have a new initiative that we're starting with the Colorado Energy Office and the Department of Transportation. It's an alternative fuels program for communities or developers who may be trying to bring compressed natural gas into the community as an alternative fuel source. We now have some funding set aside for that. So if you hear of developers who are interested in bringing stations into the community, please let me know. We're partnering with Colorado Energy Office. They're funding parts of the stations. And then on the DOLA side, we can help fund fleets for local governments. So if it's something you hear about, you can either direct them to me or you can contact me directly if it's something you hear about. Also, just wanted to touch on the regional broadband plan. I know that many of you probably know that we have partnered with the Office of Information Technology and the Office of Economic Development and International Trade to help regions who are interested create regional broadband plans. So we've been talking a little bit with the area. The San Luis Valley COG has offered to be the administrator of the grant if there's interest in the area. So if it's something that you all are interested in, Joseph, I know that you were at the last COG meeting, but I would suggest talking to the Wisdoms, or by all means talk to me if you would like to learn more about that or how you can get engaged. So those are the funding opportunities. We also do technical assistance if ever you are interested in doing board training, planning commissioner training. We've been very busy with special district elections, so we have a great resource library at the Department of Local Affairs, and I know Heather knows about it, but if you ever have any questions about what other communities are doing or how they're working through something, please think of DOLA. We work in partnership with Colorado Municipal League, so we have a great symbiotic relationship with them. So just keep us in mind as a resource. And I wanted to, if you had any questions or any projects coming up you wanted to talk about, I'm here. You guys have a lot on your agenda, so I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you very much, Christy. Council, you have any questions of Christy?
I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to thank Christy for helping us get funded on several projects, big projects here in Alamosa County and the city of Alamosa. And a little history, she took over Deborah Downs' position. Big shoes to fit. She fit it, she put them right on and took off running.
Did, look at these.
You've doing a great job for us and for the valley and stuff, so we really thank you.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. It's been a great experience so far.
Thank you, Councilor Grego. Councilor Johnson?
Christy, thanks for the things you do for your area, your total area, which helps Alamosa. I think every time I run into you, I harass you about
Yes.
the
Yes.
Mineral Impact Board and our need for someone in this area to be on that board. I know you've talked about it with other people. You keep pushing us forward on that, because we really do need a representative on that Mineral Impact Board.
I will. Hearings are coming up again later this month in Sterling.
And I know you do that. I just, every time I see you, I have to say it. And remind everybody that Mineral Impact gave us a significant amount of money for this building, and we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Coleman?
Christie, I'd like to thank you for sharing the many funding opportunities that DOLA has for a community like ours. And I just want to make a comment to let you know that due to DOLA and also due to your hard work, there are many families that are able to live in decent, safe, and sanitary housing throughout the San Luis Valley, and they're grateful for this opportunity. So keep up the wonderful work that you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. And I would like to reiterate what these gentlemen have said, as well as we appreciate the relationship that you have with not only us, but with our city manager, and keeping us abreast of all of the broad range of services and opportunities that are offered through DOLA. So thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
again. And it sounds like Councilor Johnson may be interested in that position. I know that Charlie was on that Mineral Impact Board for many years, and I'm sure he's probably interested as well. So anything we can do or you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
I just would like to add, Christy somewhat underplayed it. She spent probably about an hour with us going over the different types of grants and what aspects are more competitive than other aspects, and what the review committee really likes to see, and how to time some of our projects as well. So it was very informative, and we really appreciated her time. And then one other funding source that she brought to our attention is also for planning grants. And so there's two types we're going to look at. One is the mineral impact with some infrastructure, and then the other is with our comprehensive update. I know DOLA is a very big proponent for communities doing updates to their comprehensive plans, and so we're in step with that as well. So there's two projects that we'll be looking at.
Thank you, Heather. And yeah, I'm on the policy committee at CML, and I know that they've been pushing to get those funds reinstated. I guess there was a fund of some sort that was rated. That
Yes.
was obviously rated, and now they're trying to get those funds back. Obviously, they have.
Yes, we did. It was very fortunate. We've had them back for 2 years now.
Well,
That's been great.
we can sure use a part of that 34 million.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
And thank you, Council. Next up, we have business brought forward by city staff. Public Works Department. We have 5 issues, but the first one up is a public hearing on ordinance number 14, 2014, and ordinance rezoning the cell tower tract of the Russell subdivision lying generally north of County Road 8 South and south of West 11th Street as portrayed on the attached Exhibit A in the city of Alamosa, Colorado, from residential medium to commercial business. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, council. This is a continuation of the request of the Arrow Wireless to rezone the cell tower tract of the Russell subdivision. I think everybody is familiar with this project by now. I'll be happy to answer any questions or anything you'd like to hear.
Thank you, Council. Do we have any questions of Pat at this point? This is one of those issues that we have been faced with for quite a while, and so this public hearing is just that, to see if. Seeing no questions, I will open the public hearing on ordinance number 14, 2014, and ask members in the audience to come forward for or against this ordinance. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on ordinance number 14, 2014, and bring it to council for discussion or any discussion or a motion. Councilor Gillespie.
I'll make the motion that we approve ordinance number 14, 2014, an ordinance rezoning the cell tower tract of the Russell subdivision lying generally north of County Road 8, south of West 11th Street, as portrayed on Exhibit A in the City of Alamosa.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Gillespie and Councilor Johnson. And start voting, please. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up is a first reading on ordinance number 15, 2014, and ordinance approving the annexation of the 2014 foot annexation for the annexation of a tract of land located in the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, Section 4, Township 37 North, Range 10 East, New Mexico Principal Meridian, Alamosa County, Colorado. Thank you, Pat.
Certainly. This is the first reading on the ordinance to annex the Foot property. Again, this is a unique situation. She wants to subdivide the property into two pieces to create another building site, and half of the property, the property in red, is within the county. The other half is in the city. She's not able to subdivide that until it's all under one jurisdiction. So we have. She's presented us with the desire to annex into the city. Property is completely served. The new building site will be east of the east end of Leroy Street. Is already served with water and sewer and paved streets.
Thank you, Pat. Councilor Grego?
I had a question. I know the red part, that's the part we're annexing in, or what is that?
Yes. Yeah, the levee is the city boundary.
Okay.
And her property extends out into the river. Obviously the building site won't go out into the river, but it's all, that is one piece of property under two jurisdictions.
I guess my question is that, you know, in the past, we've had problems with having access to the levee, and is there a trail system that goes back behind there also? And are we going to have access to that?
Yeah, the levee exists. It is a trail system. We do not have public access to that part of the levee currently. Part of the annexation agreement will provide for public access as soon as the properties north and south are opened up as well.
Just so that, you know, when we put the agreement together, that's reflected.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Grego. Are there any other questions of Pat? Or seeing none, Council, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 15, 2014.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve on first reading ordinance number 15, 2014. Set it for a public hearing on November the 19th at 7 o'clock or soon thereafter.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Grego and Councilor Gillespie. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 15, 2014? Seeing none, start voting, please. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up is a first reading on ordinance number 16, 2014, and ordinance amending sections 21-1 concerning definitions and 21-97 Schedule A concerning use groups and permitted uses, and adding a new section 21-121 specific to the conditions and design standards to be considered during the evaluation of applications for approval of permitted use by special review for the erection, maintenance, and operation of telecommunications facilities. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, sir. From time to time, as land uses and use groups evolve and new uses are conceived due to community needs, input, and changes in technology, we find that some definitions and uses are not adequately addressed in our zoning code. With current and anticipated increases in the number of cellular communications applications, it became apparent that our existing code was in need of modification to effectively handle these requests. On August 6, 2014, council passed ordinance number 9, 2014, establishing a temporary moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of any new special use applications for the operation of telecommunications facilities in the city. It was the intent of the moratorium to provide staff the time to research the issues associated with this type of use request, to learn how other cities are handling them, and to gather information from the public, from legal, from City Council and the Planning Commission for inclusion and incorporation into the new ordinance. What we've tried to do is capture all of the input and suggestions we've gotten from the public, from legal, from Planning Commission, Council, everybody, and combine all of that into one new ordinance that addresses everything. This proposed zoning ordinance sees the addition of several definitions specific to cell towers in the telecommunications industry, the creation of a new use group, C33, which will be wireless telecommunications facilities. It requires permitted use by special review for use group C33 in all zoning districts. It clarifies and outlines the steps and requirements for application. It establishes a gateway and through-town corridor map of those areas in which cell towers will be prohibited. Site selection process that forces applicants to consider existing structures and towers prior to vacant ground. It's got some co-location requirements. It establishes tower height and setback requirements, including prohibition in and a 100-foot buffer around all residential areas. And it prohibits advertisement on towers, and it outlines lighting requirements. So the Planning Commission has reviewed all of these changes, and they unanimously recommend their approval.
Thank you, Pat. Obviously, a lot of work has gone into the changes in this, in the present ordinance, and I know that the Planning Commission, our city staff, our city attorney have been involved, you as well, and so governing any type of technical changes that are coming so fast anymore is something that is totally necessary, and we certainly appreciate all the hard work that you and these other groups have placed in this ordinance. Council, do we have any questions? Councilor Griego.
Going back to the remarks that Mrs. King made earlier, where we lose control of the extent, is that true, or how
Not
does that work?
necessarily. Any modification to an existing facility requires them to come to us, especially we can require that they come to us for any change.
Thank you, Councilor Griego. Councilor Johnson.
Pat, a lot of work went into this, and I appreciate that. You did some comparisons with other cities. I really like the fact that this clears up a lot of stuff, that council isn't left holding final say on a lot of the stuff. We've given direction, the corridor issues and stuff like that. It seemed like that we had to shuffle through that. This is a changing field, and I hope we're a little bit ahead of the curve right now, and I would bet you that we're going to be making some changes to this ordinance down the line. But from what I've seen of it, it looks extremely well thought out, and it looks like something that we can deal with very well. And I appreciate your hard work, and the Planning Commission passed that on to them. Thank you.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Vigil.
Yes, I'd like to echo what the mayor and Councilor Johnson said, just to thank you so much for working on this, your staff and the Planning Commission. I think it sets Alamosa up for success in the future and planning these things out and where they should be. A question I had for you, Pat, kind of goes back to the council comment on the wind and how windy it can be here in the spring. Is that an issue or not?
Based on my research, it's not a concern. Obviously, whenever you have something sticking up like that, there is the potential of it falling down, but everything goes through strict engineering process and design criteria. It's no different than building a building. So.
Thank you, Councilor Vigil. Pat, obviously there are many concerns, especially when it comes to, I don't know, different aspects of what cell towers emit and all that stuff. So obviously, the cell tower people, and you obviously are aware of a lot of the information that is probably in that book. I'm sure you're probably going to go through it, and if there's any issue, I'm sure the company will have to mitigate it as far as safety and that kind of thing for electrical waves or whatever are concerns. Anyway, thank you for that, Pat. Appreciate it. Councilor Johnson?
If there's no other questions or comments, I will move that we approve ordinance number 16, 2014 on first reading and set it for a public hearing on November 19th, 2014 at 7 o'clock or soon thereafter.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Vihil, is there any further discussion on ordinance number 16, 2014?
I was looking over at our city attorney, and he was making these different gestures. Do we have any kind of problem or something that we might have to relook at with the book?
I don't have a very good poker face.
No, you don't.
No, I mean, the comment that my poker face was giving me away on was that the cell tower companies may have to deal with concerns about health and radio frequency emissions and things like that. And that's exactly what the Telecommunications Act says. Cities, you have no business sticking your foot in this realm. There are no safety concerns. Shut up and go away. So the federal government has pretty much said we don't get to think about those issues.
Thank you, Eric, for that enlightening observation. Our nose is out of the radio wave business. I've got a motion and a second. Council, start voting, please. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up, we will move on to resolution number 17, 2014, a resolution approving the final plat of the People's Place subdivision of block number 1, a tract of land located in the southeast quarter of section 16, township 37 north, range 10 east of the New Mexico Principal Meridian, city of Alamosa, Alamosa County, Colorado. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, sir. This is the request of the county to subdivide the property across Independence Way from their existing county buildings. The subdivision's intended to better prepare the property for anticipated future use. They've already got 2 of the lots occupied, or 2 of what will be different lots occupied. It'll better represent current development patterns, and it'll simplify legal descriptions that have been complicated in the past with repeated plats and subdivisions. All the lots have available water and sewer, and they're served by existing paved streets. The subdivision is in full compliance with our development standards.
Thank you, Pat. Council, do we have any questions of Pat? Councilor Johnson?
All this property is county-owned, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Council, do we have any further questions of Pat?
And just as a reminder, following these questions, to open the public hearing for this item.
Do you approve the resolution first and then open public hearing, or vice versa?
No, open the public hearing before approving the resolution, or we're declining to approve the resolution.
Okay. Well, then I will open the public hearing on resolution number 17, 2014. And we have Rachel Baird here. Thank you for being here, Rachel. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I am the Deputy Land Use Administrator for Alamosa County. So we're located in the southernmost lot. We're in our new building. You're welcome to come out and visit at any time and admire our new offices. We are expanding. The county's growing. Social services is exceeding their current building footprint. So we're really excited about development in the area, and we're glad that we're a part of the city of Alamosa. And we hope that you approve this minor subdivision. I also want to thank you for the fee waiver. We really appreciate that. So we hope you approve it so that we can move forward with developing the People's Place.
Thank you, Rachel. Is there anyone else in the audience to speak for or against resolution number 17, 2014? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on resolution number 17, 2014 and bring it to council for further discussion or a decision. Councilor Coleman.
I don't have any discussion or comments, but if everybody's in agreement, I'll make a motion that council approves the request for Viera Wireless for a permitted use by special review for the installation of a wireless communication tower.
Councilor Coleman, we're talking about resolution number 17, 2014.
I'm sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
He's trying to cut our night a little shorter than it might otherwise be, which we all appreciate.
Okay, there we go.
Will you remove that? And would you like to make a motion on resolution 17? Councilor Coleman?
Yes. I would like to make a motion that council approves resolution 17. On my screen, I'm not seeing it, so 17, 2014.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. Councilor Grego, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, start voting, council. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. Next up, we have permitted use by special review for the Viera cell tower. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. I think this is the one we're all looking forward to. This is the final action on the request for permitted use by special review by Viera Wireless. They originally approached Planning Commission with an application for a tower at the intersection of Railroad Avenue and Highway 285. Planning Commission recommended denial, came to council. You passed it back to staff to try to negotiate with the applicant to find a more suitable location. Tonight, you approved the rezoning of the lot that will allow the tower to be placed, and they are asking for final approval of their permitted use based on that new location.
Thank you, Pat. Council, do we have any questions of Pat concerning this issue? Councilor Griego?
Well, like Pat said, we've discussed this, I don't know how many months. So if there's no further questions, I'll make the motion that Mr. Coleman was going to make on permitted use by special review for Viera cell tower.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Griego and Councilor Gillespie. Any further discussion on permitted use by special review? Seeing none, start voting, please. I need one. There you go. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up, we have City Manager and Legal, specific to the grant application for the Pink Element project. Heather?
Well, we felt we needed to add one item that was not Public Works related, so we added this one. We have an opportunity to apply for a grant through the Foundation of El Pomar. They, at the local level, have recommended approval up to the state level, to the trustees. There are certain qualifications at this stage that they wanted to require. One of the larger items is that they are very impressed with the city's participation and commitment to this project. They want to see that continue. Because of our 501c3 status, it needs to come to the city instead of ACID. They additionally want it to come to the city because they want to make sure we're continuing our role in this project, which of course we're working very closely with ACID. They felt that the additional $25,000 that council recently voted to contribute on top of the previous $100,000 was a very strong sign of support that we have, in addition to the 5 other partners that have contributed $25,000 each. They could clearly see that there is local support for this project. We've talked to representatives and made sure that as we move this application forward, that we are including the language that will help us qualify for the funding. So it's at this point just to make sure that council's reviewed it and is in approval of us moving the application forward.
Thank you, Heather. Council, do we have any questions of Heather? Councilor Grego?
I did. Can you give us an update on the project itself? You know, we thought that we were going to probably do some demolition now in October. It's gone by, so what does it look like?
I talked to Randy Wright this afternoon, so I got the latest that I could of the information. And essentially, he says it's somewhat weather dependent, and it's the opposite of what many of us may think. The contractors, the local contractors that he is using are either doing it at cost or potentially a little less than cost. And so right now, when the weather is as nice as it is, he wants to let them do the jobs where they're getting paid and making some money. And then once the weather turns colder and those projects dwindle, then he wants to pull them in, and all of them seem to be in agreement with that kind of time frame. The weather shouldn't hurt the ability to demolish the building, and he's telling people it will be done before the end of the year. So depending on how long this warm weather extends will somewhat dictate how long the contractors will continue with their normal business before helping us with this project. Additionally, I know council's had some interest with the businesses that are currently located at those locations. He expects them to be moved out by the end of the week, this week, by Friday. The Guadamex is anticipated to go across from Penny's, and the Liberia is anticipated to go on South State and the liquor store on South State near the airport. So those two businesses do have plans to move out. And then lastly, he is working with a gentleman that's doing some architectural salvaging with some of the materials inside the buildings as well. So a lot of the paperwork and all of that's been worked through, and it seems we might be waiting just for weather.
So if we get 10 feet of snow, that won't stop the project?
They may not do it the next day,
Oh, okay.
but it should not hurt the project.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you, Councilor Griego. Councilor Johnson?
This project has been kind of a headache for us a little bit, and it looks like this ties up about all the loose ends financially, hopefully, that come about. Appreciate you and Randy getting together and everyone else that's involved. We have a bunch of partners on this, but creating or coming up with the idea to approach El Pomar and get the ability to apply for a grant through them and tie up those loose financial ends. I know council has stressed quite a bit about this project being completed. We've already invested a significant amount of money, and we were in fear that we may have to kick in a little bit more, and this looks like this may solve that issue for us. So I appreciate the time that you and Randy put in. I know that's not easy work, and you guys did a great job doing that. And it's very relieving for us to have that money available if it comes to fruition. Thank you.
And I think to tag on to that, I think we had some very strong support from some partners such as Kathy Rogers and Keith Cherney, who are on the local El Pomar board, and really presented our case to that board to get their unanimous approval. So having those types of partners in these types of boards has been extremely helpful, and their support has been very good. Additionally, from a public perception, the $75,000 is definitely needed, and it's tied to the gap that we had related to the purchase with Sick and Twisted. What is sometimes forgotten is the about $115,000 loan that is currently out that ASA took out for the initial purchase of the other buildings. And so from a public perception, we would never want that to get lost, and that if there are other partners in the community, there's still additional funds that could be put to use for this project.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you, Councilor Johnson. Anyone else? Do you need a motion, Eric, or shall we just direct staff to apply to El Pomar?
A motion directing staff to pursue the application would be appropriate.
Thank you, Eric. Council?
I'll move that council approves the application for grant funding from El Pomar.
I second.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson and Councilor Coleman. Is there any further discussion on the grant application? Seeing none, Hold on. Start voting, please. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Next up, we have committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report today? Councilor Gillespie?
Yes, I was not able to make the golf board meeting last week, but we do have a partnership meeting tomorrow night, and we will discuss some of the issues that we're going to discuss at the work session next Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gillespie. Councilor Vigil?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the school board meeting on Monday, and they have hired a new athletic trainer in conjunction with the hospital. They're currently in the process of getting the head count of all the students in the district, and they'll report on that next meeting. Also, they would like to invite everybody to their theater play this weekend, Grease, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I believe, as well as the assistant superintendent reported on the CMAS testing. This is a state-issued test in social studies and science for 4th, 7th, and 12th graders, and 8th graders. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Vigil. Councilor Coleman?
Thank you, Mayor. I was able to attend the San Luis Valley Development Resources Group board meeting earlier last month, and I also was able to attend the grand opening of the Mushroom Farm. The good thing about the reopening of the Mushroom Farm is that over 250 people will now have employment in the San Luis Valley because of this reopening, and that's great for our economy and also for our community. I would like to thank Ronnie Wisdom and her team, along with the First Southwest Bank, for making this opportunity happen. I can tell you right now, tonight, there are over 250 people that are happy that they're going to get a paycheck this weekend because of the reopening of this Mushroom Farm. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. And I was there for the reopening of the Mushroom Farm. Got a great tour, didn't we, Ty? And economic development, of course, is a cornerstone for this council. We are serious partners in just about any project that involves economic development. It's great that we have these jobs coming back to the valley. I think it's going to do well for our sales tax revenue. We'll just have to see. Plus, you know, these folks that have been waiting for so long are that sense of self-worth is so great when you're employed. So it's just great things happening out there. Anyone else have a committee report? All right. Next up will be staff announcements. Heather?
I was informed today by Don Chapman that the November schedules come out, and unfortunately, it appears that Great Lakes is still struggling with some of the coverage with pilots, and they've had to reduce their flights by about a third. So that continues to be a struggle, and hopefully the discussions that are occurring between the FAA and our legislators and everything there will make some progress in that area. As a reminder, Tuesday is Veterans Day, and certain city offices will be closed. Additionally, there will be the Veterans Day Parade, and that information can be found on the city's Park and Recreation website. Councilman Gillespie referenced the work session that we have scheduled for next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. It's something it's a work session to serve two purposes. One, the golf board has had a lot of changes this past year, and it's somewhat of a new board as well, and it gives an opportunity for the council and the board to meet, ask questions, catch up, discuss things face to face. There's also some potential ideas related to changing the contract and just getting a feel for how the restaurant's going and the pro shop and some of the new activities they've taken on. So it will be a good opportunity to cover that. We specifically set it on a night where we didn't have a council meeting following that, so if you guys get into a good discussion, you won't be limited by other types of pressures to end it prematurely for a meeting. Additionally, I will be meeting with the seniors on Tuesday to continue the discussion of if we should maintain ownership of the facility. Eric has worked on drafting a contract, and we're going to be finalizing that on Tuesday, and then hopefully bring something for council finally for your official consideration on if we should do that or not. Obviously, if we maintain the facility, we would look at how that impacts our outside funding, but they are aware of that. Additionally, I've been talking to Francis with South Central seniors. They know what the status is. They also understand that if we maintain the facility, we probably would not be charging ourselves rent, because right now we've been paying their rent. So they would be able to use the facility, and they may bring back the preparation of the meals. As you know, they've been having some negotiations for the rent in case we don't maintain the facility. At this point in time, they've decided to prepare the meals in Monty, but they are still serving 5 meals a day here in Alamosa. So that's where it stands with this other item up in the air. But both parties are aware of where we are and what discussions are occurring. The Healthy Living Park and Trust for Public Lands held some public meetings. I attended the one October 24th. I think they were very positive. I think we had several council members who attended it as well. It was very interesting to see our community and our residents dreaming about the amenities that they would want from a quality of life perspective. I talked a little bit with some of the individuals from Trust for Public Land afterwards, and we'll probably continue our discussions in regards to easements, trails, those types of items. You might recall in a previous communication, we are having the areas that we would need easements for continuation of the trails, all areas, get mapped out at this point in time and get a good description on, and we will bring that before council on what next steps we might need to take to maintain public access for our trails. So that is also going on concurrently. Last night, we found out that the SID did pass, and so Pat will be moving forward in issuing a request for proposals for design, and we can start to get those pieces put together. We're also going to have a conference call and make sure that if there's any other steps we need to be doing at the same time, that we're following those legal requirements as well. We also found out that we're going to be losing one of our own. Robert was elected as sheriff. I think we look forward to a very positive working relationship with him. He's had a lot of years with the city of Alamosa, and we know he's going to do a great job in his new position. So it was an interesting night for us. I wanted to let council know that I attended a meeting yesterday for a water economic study. I put a 2-pager in your boxes. That's an overview of what that study would look like as far as scope, what they hope to accomplish, and the information they hope to glean from the study. There was a lot of different people in the room covering the whole valley from all different aspects, from local governments to farmers to water districts, sub-districts. So it was a good representation to hear about what that study would be looking at. And lastly, I know with Jim being back, he has stepped up some projects, and he's worked on getting council some new tablets. And I believe the only 2 we have left to swap out would be Greg and Michael. So if you contact Jim, he can get you set up. You can bring in your old tablet, and we'll get you a new tablet, and everything should go well. I think from a staff level, that's everything we have. Hines, did you have anything? Okay. I think that's everything we have.
Thank you, Heather. I know that we have a Park and Recs, well, we have a recreational meeting tomorrow, don't we, Hines? First one we've had in, what, couple of months or so? So hopefully we will have that meeting at 11:30, correct? Thank you, Hines. Dog park going well? Thank you, Hines. Chief? Thank you. Chief, you're one man short. How are you doing?
Doing
Pat? Jim, good to see you back. Thank you for being here, Ruth. Council, next up we have council comment. Councilor Diego.
As our city manager pointed out, next Tuesday is Veterans Day, and we're inviting the council, as we do every year, to sit on the pass and review stand. So if you could be there about maybe 10:30, 10:45. So that's going to be right there on the corner of State and Main, right in front of the bank.
Thank you, Councilor Diego. Anyone else have a council comment? Councilor Johnson?
As Heather mentioned, we finished up with an election season, which is great for all of us, because now we don't have to see all the signs and the TV ads and all that, which is the not so fun part of public service. And but I would like to congratulate all the winners and commend all the people that ran. Putting yourself out there like that typically isn't an easy thing, and I appreciate races that are more than one person in, and just something along that lines. I was disappointed Mrs. Brown left early. I wanted to commend her in bringing that disease awareness forward and minimizes our own individual problems. So that is it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Coleman.
I just want to welcome Jim back. Good to see you, my friend, and hope everything works well for you.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. Councilor Gillespie?
Yes, I also would like to congratulate all the candidates that ran for public office for having the courage to go out there and put themselves out there in public and run a campaign. It's commendable. I think everyone should do it. I also attended the memorial service for the late city attorney Rick Jacobs. There were a few of us from the city here. Eric was there, myself, Amanda Pearson. Patty Swift gave a short program at the Cattails Golf Course. It was very nice. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gillespie. You know, every time we have daylight savings time change, it really bothers me. I'm just wondering if the city of Alamosa could appeal to the policy committee at CML and maybe get one of our legislators to push this forward and see if we can just leave time alone. I think that would be a great idea. I don't know. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but it is a time-consuming, I don't know. It's just so unnecessary for me. But maybe we can think about getting something like that over to the policy committee and having the legislature say, yeah, let's do away with it in Colorado. That'll probably never happen, but it's a nice thought. Anyway, that's my comment for the day. And I thank you, gentlemen. Next up, we have the need for an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move that we convene to executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses E, to discuss matters subject to negotiation, develop strategies for negotiations, and instruct negotiators. Specific topic to be discussed in executive session will be water acquisitions.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the executive session? Seeing none, start voting, please. Christie?
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. And after our executive session, we will convene back into regular session, and there will be no business discussed. Thank you.